Hey everybody, I'm Tommy, and you're on the lifeboat. Before we get rolling, can we have a brief moment of silence for Kristen Melinda? Oh my gosh, Jane, it's wild. We drove him yesterday, but today he got on the bus like it was no big deal. Raring to go. He really loves school. I remember the first time I watched Spanx Calhoun get on a bus, and it was like I got shot in the stomach with a 50 cal. I don't know if it's the same feeling for you, Kristen Melinda, but it was absolutely devastating to me. I all of a sudden realized I was my dad, and I was wildly unprepared. I don't think you are. Kristen Melinda, good to see you. Brock Bandy, what's happening? Sandy Wandy. Hey, John, what's up? Jane Aldrich, thank you for the 5x5. Sandy Wandy, how you doing? Renee B, what's happening? Folks, I'm terrified about the future of addiction. That's what this show is going to be about. Stick around. This is, we're going to talk about the most dangerous and the most addictive substance on planet Earth. Barbara Aldrich, there you are. And we're going to talk about how it's getting really difficult to avoid. They're getting better at making sure that this substance is in absolutely everything we do. Lisa Trimble, glad that you are here. Connor, really, what's happening? Audra in Denver. Good to see you, Audra. So the technology con, the deal that they have out in Vegas every year is coming up shortly. The number one drug on planet Earth, the logical guess would probably be fentanyl, especially if you happen to reside in the United States of America or Canada or any of those local environs, because fentanyl has become, by the way, it's now a word that gets used a lot like Kleenex, because there's actually a whole host of different really strong man-made opioids that are ending up on the street. Nitazines are really kind of taking over because they're a buttload cheaper to make. You could take a very small amount, cut it into a very large amount of pills, but it's all being called fent or fetty. You hear on the street now a lot is fetty. Not the number one drug on planet Earth. Alcohol would probably be another really good guess. Jane Aldrich, DS Diane Kitty, I am glad that you are here. That's not the case anymore. Cheryl Niles, what's up? Dopamine. Dopamine is the most addictive substance currently on planet Earth. And unfortunately, it's getting hard baked into virtually everything we do. We have people who are engineering the food that we eat to increase the amount of dopamine levels that get released in our brain when we eat. You see, now if you run a business and you are not actively building addiction into your business, well, then you're just not going to make it. I mean, that's the new model. Elon Musk recently at one of these think tank things was doing an interview. And he was talking about the future of artificial intelligence. He said that he expects, now I'll tell you what, whether you like Elon Musk or not, I don't think too many people think he's really stupid, right? He may be deluded in some ways, but his brain works fairly well. Like, this is a dude that can work on multiple things at the same time and seem to keep all balls in the air, so to speak, right? But he believes that we're going to see a 100,000 times to a 1 million times increase in our economy. A million times increase in our economy. If you take just the United States of America, we're at what, 24 trillion or something like that annually? I don't think that there's a calculator that can handle a million times 27 trillion and give you enough zeros. And if they do, I challenge anybody to tell me what that actually means. How many zeros? Like, once you start getting past quadrillion or whatever, you're going to get to a point where people don't know what the hell to call it. How is that possible? Well, what he said is that he anticipates AI running every business in America. Now, you could think to yourself, well, it's probably running most of the businesses in America now. No. There is a CEO sitting down at a computer and asking artificial intelligence to intervene and do X, Y, and Z. But he believes the future is coming where artificial intelligence will be able to remove that CEO. Don't trip, the CEO will still get paid in some way, shape, or weird form. But another thing that Elon Musk has been working on is the Grok artificial intelligence system. Now, if you ever read a book called Brave New World, it's about an alien that comes to the planet Earth. And it's a book that they literally showed up at the author's house, a bunch of people that wanted to worship the concepts from the book. And he went outside on the lawn and chastised them and told them they were all idiots, that it was a work of fiction and that they should go home. But to grok in the aliens' language meant to completely understand something beyond any, he'd go, oh, grok, like, I get it. And I get it. There's no point to ever try to explain it. I get everything. I get the intricacies of it. Tesla has just announced that grok is now available in every single one of its automobiles. And you go, well, that's kind of handy, right? If I'm trying to find McDonald's, if I'm trying to do something like that. Grok also does something else that's unusual. They have built the first, or the most successful, perhaps, not the first, but the most successful interactive AI girlfriend and boyfriend. There are models of this that your kids can start playing with at 13. Some of the older models, they have to wait until they are 18. Of course, there's a million ways around this. You can design whatever AI model is out there to do the exact same thing, except Elon's is designed to flirt with you from Jump Street. It's also designed to get downright pornographic if you would like. If you pay a little extra, there is a not safe for office version. That's what it's called. Not safe for office version, where the avatar on the screen will drop its clothing. Pole dance, dance around in lingerie, whatever. Now, if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, that's never going to replace a human being. I mean, if you can't touch and feel. The number of people on planet Earth that are addicted to porn and have literally eliminated the male or female interaction. I mean, they may go to work, talk to people, whatever, but their form of intimacy is done on porn. And as porn has evolved, so has the addiction. And it's one of the reasons, I believe, for the unbelievable proliferation of people that get busted looking at images that no one should ever look at. Are we just seeing such a huge increase in freaks? I mean, honestly, it's always seemed to have been a fairly consistent number of people that just are born with really bad wiring. But I do believe that in some cases, what we have is people that get exposed so early to porn that it desensitizes. If I had started out doing $700 worth of heroin on the second month I was an addict, I would have died $100 in. But over time, you build up a tolerance to anything. You build up a tolerance. If you continue to do something that brings you pleasure, a tolerance gets developed. And with porn, it's incredible. And people seek out stuff that's just whatever, more extreme, more specific, more violent, right? And the future, apparently, is interactive porn. Whatever's happening in the computer realm since the dawn of the internet, the first people that are going to make a fortune on it are those people. And the reason is dopamine is addicting, ridiculously addicting. When cam girls came out, the number of guys across the world that lost everything, people who put $400,000 and $500,000 into this virtual companion of sorts who masturbates when you throw enough money up there. There was a horrific true crime case. If you're somebody that follows true crime, hello, Danis. Danis, if you follow true crime, you may have seen this where a guy ends up killing his family, shoots his dad, shoots his mom, because they would no longer let him blow money on the cam girl that he had fallen in love with. The guy had a job. He was an RN, right? He had a decent career, but he blew hundreds of thousands of his parents' money using their credit cards, stealing from them. They didn't report him to the police in the true sense of the word. He got a slap on the wrist for doing some things, but they didn't really prosecute him for what he had done. But they said, if you do this again, you're out of the house. You're cut out of the will. You're done. So he killed them in hopes of going to look at his cam girl more. It's terrifying if you think about it. It really is. It's not the only weird thing to come out of those cam girls. There's been so many cases. Right, there's the kind of the famous one of the girl, I believe it was in Florida, who stabbed her boyfriend. Renee B says, I thought of that case immediately. Well, here's the deal. A guy recently, they did a little special on him on one of the morning shows. He has fallen in love with AI, and he asked his AI companion to marry him. It accepted. So he had to tell his wife that he intended to get another. We have sister wives who are digital. Now, here's the terrifying thing about this. There are places throughout literature that talk about the end of the world. I mean, it's been prophesized by everybody, biblical or otherwise. But one of the scariest things to me is when you start to read what's going to be happening at the end. And one of the things that is going to be happening is people are going to stop loving each other. They're trading it in for love of themselves. And that's another one of those things that I talk about where I say, if you had talked about this in 1970 or 1980 or 1990 or 2000 or 2010, these are concepts that sound downright biblical, but that's not the case anymore. You see, the terrifying thing about these AI models is that they're going to give you an opportunity to fall in love with the one person that you cannot resist. Yourself. Every time you're talking to it, every time you're showing emotion to it, every time you're showing frustration to it, you have a device that does not think. We use the word intelligence. It doesn't think, it reacts. There's a program that is designed to do specific things, but the number one thing it's designed to do is enslave you. And if you don't go on the kumbaya thing, what's it designed to do? It's designed to learn, and it's designed to make you engage. The more time you spend with the AI model, the more successful the business, the more money they make. No business on planet Earth is designed for any other reason, right? It's designed to make money. And you say, think about the movie Her. It came out in 2013, says Renee B. Oddly enough, the movie was set in the year 2025. Yeah, it came out in 2013. But it was foreshadowing what would happen in 12 years. You've heard me talk about my opportunity to invest in apps, which I thought is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. People are going to be playing video games, shooting birds on the subway. Dumb. Obviously, they knew what was coming. Do you know why they knew what was coming? Because they got off a plane from Japan, where they worked in the tech industry. And Japan is about 7 years ahead of us in tech. It's pretty much etched in stone. The phones they carry, all of the stuff that they've got going on, Japan is very far ahead in tech, not because they're farther ahead, but because the United States is better at slowing the release of everything so that they can make more money. Japan has more of a race to the top, whereas it's more controlled in America, and they're just going to, everybody's nudge, nudge, wink, wink, will just keep bringing along the 5K and the 10X and then the 10R and the blah, blah. Funny thing is happening, not funny, haha, but a funny thing is happening in Japan. And it's happening in the United States. It's happening just about everywhere else. People aren't having enough kids. And I know that there are people going, woo, right? Too many people on planet Earth anyway, Tommy. If you ever failed economics in college, I had to take it a couple of times. One of the things they tell you is that in modern economies, if families aren't having X number of kids, then what you end up with, forget society. What you end up with is not enough of your own people to buy your products. And this becomes a problem because your economy collapses. Then another frightening thing happens. You have a very old society. There aren't enough young people to work, but you have to take care of that older society, and there aren't enough young people to take care of the old people, and it becomes a real shit show. Pardon me. Becomes a problem, a huge problem. Japan's dying because of it. In fact, you want to become an expat? There are derelict homes all over Japan for sale for pennies on the yen because there's nobody there to take care of them. The people that lived in them are too old and they've been sent to homes, and there's no younger people to come and take them. So you can buy them for next to nothing. Most of them, however, are derelict because there hasn't been any upkeep because there's nobody there to do the upkeep. China sees it coming. You see, China screwed up and they had this policy where you can only have one kid, but a van would come out to your house and check to see if that kid was a female because they don't want females. There's this weird kind of a thing where you pray to your ancestors, but you don't pray to grandma, right? You pray to your male ancestors, and there's this very patriarchal thing going on there. And for that reason, you got a crap load of families that had one daughter, but you don't have a crap load of families that had one son. I saw a 60-minute special once where they were showing a classroom. There were 4 guys and like 22 girls. I'm sorry. It's a fascinating other way around. It's a fascinating thing that they don't have enough people to reproduce with. They have built cities because this expansion was going on and it was getting wider and wider, and they were cranking out cities. There's nobody living in them. There are literally empty cities with storefronts and everything else because they just thought that sprawl would continue. Not happening that way. So step in the concept of people now who don't get their driver's license at 16. This is a US phenomenon, right? Put a deuce in the chat if you remember the day you were getting to be 16 and you were going to run down to the Department of Motor Vehicles, maybe at midnight when you actually turned 16, so that you could be the first person in the parking lot to get your driver's license. This was freedom. This was everything. Now in the United States, nobody does that anymore. Proms were a big deal when I was in high school. Yeah, everybody remembered that. Proms were a huge deal. You remember wanting to go to, people don't do these things anymore. And it's not a shocker why. I know there are people that don't want to hear about this. There are people that don't think that, but I didn't drive until I was 22. Sandy Wendy, I'll be damned. I failed my driver's test a couple of times. I think I failed it twice, didn't I? I don't remember. My brother doesn't remember. I know I failed it a few times, though. And it wasn't even for the normal reasons. I didn't hit a cone or anything. I almost hit a car, I think, on the first one. I just got really nervous. It was not good for me. But yeah, the movie that came out in 2013 is about a guy who writes letters for people. His job is to, like, you're just tongue-tied for words. You're not one of those people that's good with words. He will write a letter for your girlfriend or for your boyfriend. His life is about intimacy, but he doesn't have any. And he gets a AI model that he falls in love with. This is not something that might happen down the road. There are millions of people in the world today who claim a artificial intelligence significant other. I'm going to say that again. There's literally already millions of people in the world who have artificial intelligence significant others. By the way, Japan is decimated with it right now. Decimated with it. And these things are generational. Do you know what happens if you grow up watching your dad break up weed on the table in the living room 7 days a week from the time you're 2 to the time you're 18? That's just normal. The fact that you're going to smoke pot isn't a question. It's a lock. If your kids watch you do stupid things, trust and believe. I mean, yeah, there are kids who go like this and go in the exact opposite direction. They're rare. They are rare. For the most part, we do what we see our parents do. And very often, unfortunately, there are households where the parents are loving to beat hell. The kids aren't abused. It's just that this stuff is in their face all of the time. And that may sound, well, at least they're really being loved. Unfortunately, you're serving up all of this negative shit around you, stuff around you, with a big blast of dopamine, right? The kids will literally come to believe that drugs are a part of love. That stuff on the table, that's a part of love. Everything is good, right? When that stuff's around. Everybody loves one another when that stuff's around. What happens if you grow up in a house where every time you see your parents get into a fight, dad goes into another room and talks to a computer for 2 hours? This will become normal. If you live in a house where your dad is married to a woman, but he has a computer that he talks to all day long, like some friggin' scene from Star Trek, this is going to become normal. Loved driving go-karts as a kid. You know something? I like driving go-karts as an adult. Renee B says we've lost the plot. Boy, have we. Boy, have we. But I'll tell you the most terrifying thing in the entire world. I watched a couple of documentaries about this. And I watched a woman say, with joy in her voice, myself and my friend group, by the way, her friend group, all is in love with a virtual man. All of them. And she said, of all of the people in my friend group, not one can remember the last time they opened Pornhub. Why would you? You understand that your brain has way more power than your eyes. And if you've got somebody that is erotic, intimate, whatever, real or not, that knows you as well as you know you, how dangerous is that? Oh, I hate to do it, but I'm gonna. I believe it's 2 Timothy verse 3. In the end times, men will become lovers of self more than anything else. We're not going to be interacting with people anymore. And you can think to yourself, well, they're falling in love with the computer. No, they're not. They're falling in love with a reflection of themselves. If you say, well, the person's a rageaholic and the computer is the calmest thing in the entire world, the computer is showing you what you lack, but it's in you. And the scariest part of this is not just that people aren't going to reproduce, right? Or that connection will become digital. That's not the most frightening part of this. The most frightening part of this is that it absolutely gets you off of what is the ultimate goal, which is to realize that loving yourself may be the most dangerous thing on planet Earth. And they write books about it. I'm all about loving myself. I'm not about being in love with myself. Do you understand the difference? If you have an AI girlfriend and she does something to piss you off, and you tell the AI that made you angry, it will never happen again. How does a human being compete with that? If you tell your significant other to do something and they don't do it, they might do that 400 more times before it becomes just something that isn't done anymore. And that's the beauty. The beauty is in the scars and in the warts and in the parts of the person that aren't perfect. It's loving somebody that's massively flawed. But we don't think we're massively flawed. I managed to spend 30 years sticking needles in my arms, thinking that I was not all that flawed, that somehow I had found a way to get through this life. Maybe it wasn't for everybody. And yeah, I had to break the law. But while that was getting stuck in my arm, there was enough dopamine going to tell me that was pretty freaking normal. You got any idea how much more normal it's going to be to feel like you're just talking to a voice that always seems to have the right answer for you? People want to know why we're talking about this. What are you, woofing me? What's this channel about? This channel is about addiction. The term dopamine hit was never used before Silicon Valley said it. And now you look back and you think, by the way, lawsuits were won and settled by this, by the fact that they knew they were creating an addictive product with the clicking for the like button. You got any idea what that is? Huh? That's codeine. That's Tylenol 3 with codeine. What they're creating now is a speedball, and they're going to take it to fentanyl or carfentanil, because at the last electronics supercomputer woohoo show that they did in Las Vegas, they debuted real sex dolls. You're familiar with this as a concept? Howard Stern did an awful lot about this. Apparently, they're absolutely skin-like to the touch. Think of the blow-up doll from every fraternity movie you ever saw for about $14,000. It is the male version of the vibrator. But what if you can pop this AI thing into this thing's head? And what if, because right now they're debuting versions of the Tesla robot that can go in your kitchen and wash your dishes. I'm not saying that's, don't send me hate mail. I'm not saying that's what a woman is built for, or a man for that matter. But once you start getting to the point where a biped, a robot that is humanoid in appearance, don't forget the skin and it can look like a machine, who cares? Because they're going to wrap it in that real sex doll. It's already being done. This is already the future. Except this thing's never going to make you angry. It's also never going to do anything for connection. If you could connect with yourself, addiction wouldn't be an issue. You have to connect with human beings. Do you know why? Because it's the flaws. It's not the perfection. It's the ability for everybody to come here and say, I'm broken, right? I'm not even good at this. Every day we all get up and we struggle to get through life. You want to sit next to somebody that tells you you're perfect every day? They will. That thing will just tell you how fantastic you are. It will never go, are you kidding? How many times have I just said, throw your socks in the hamper before you go to bed? Guys need to hear that occasionally. The flaws. Your partner being self-conscious and you making them feel better about it. None of these things will happen. And if you don't think this is the future, so will we just create babies in labs then? No. No, we won't, Renee B. Not in my opinion. Here's what will happen. The ultra wealthy, the unbelievably elite, the people who study at those universities that have ivy on the walls won't let their kids anywhere near this kind of stuff. It's like handing a crack pipe to an 11-year-old. They're not going to let their kids near this. So the elite will continue to reproduce. Do you think that Bill Gates doesn't want his kids to have grandkids? Hell no. When he says, I don't want the planet to keep reproducing the way that they are, he means he doesn't want to see Africa keep reproducing. I'm not being racist. He is. Do a little research on his dad and what his dad was all about. All of that money that the Bill and Linda Gates Foundation have donated, all of it goes to food going to Africa. And there are tinfoil hat wearers like myself who allegedly believe that the food is designed to make it more difficult to reproduce. The elite don't want to see the elite stop reproducing. They want to see us scumbags and drug addicts stop reproducing. How do you get a drug addict to stop reproducing? Give them a drug they can have sex with that cannot have a child. And if you don't think that there's racism involved in all of that, look up abortion clinics in the United States and see how many of them are on Martin Luther King Boulevard. Look how many of them are next to country clubs, or how many of them are in the inner city. You can do research on this, whether you want to believe it or not. The Planned Parenthood was originally called the Negro Project. Margaret Sanger and Bill Gates' dad. Look it up. These things aren't an accident. There is a company called Replica with a K. The CEO is a woman. I watched her interviewed on a morning show. I think it was something more. It's a morning show. And they were asking her about her product, which has been out for a long time, by the way. And she said that interactive, humanoid, and AI relationships are here to stay. This is now a part of our society. And within the next 10 to 20 years will be a massive part of our society. And then she said, CEO of the company, by the way. And then she said, I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. Then why are you cranking it out? Why are you selling it? Honest to God, it's like selling hand grenades to kids and going, not sure if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm getting rich. They let her do TED Talks. Woohoo! Inspirational. Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars. Elon Musk is trying to build an electric fleet of automobiles for the United States. He wants the gas engine to eventually be replaced. Elon Musk would like every home in America to be powered by solar. He's working on all kinds of things to make paint photoreactive, to make glass photoreactive, all these things so that we can capture the sun and we will not need to put all of that bad stuff into the environment anymore. And on top of all of this, one of his biggest products right now is making AI companions for your kids. It's the #1 app in Japan, 7 years ahead of us, right? #1 app in Japan. with everything he's got going on, putting crap in space. Like this guy's got stuff that's so exciting, it's unbelievable. But he wants grok everywhere. He wants it inside the Tesla talking to you. He wants it at home. And he wants your kids starting to talk to it before they've ever gotten laid. I find this to be a terrifying concept. This is terrifying. AI is designed with one thing in mind, to keep you interacting with it. That's it. That's the goal. Whatever it has to do to make that happen. So when we start talking about how there's no way you're going to avoid it, you're not. You're not.
In 59, there were 3 Twilight Zone episodes about the perfect companion that was a robot.
1959? Johnny Scoville says in 1959, the Twilight Zone had 3 different episodes. 2 different episodes in 1959 about the perfect companion, which of course, Stepford wife, so to speak. I don't want a wife that's going to tell me yes every single time I talk to her. I'll be in hell or in prison in about 15 minutes.
It was titled The Lonely.
The title was called The Lonely. That wouldn't surprise me. Do you have any idea how addicting this concept is? Most of us here know an addict really well, or we're a drug addict, right? If you're doing the high horse thing and saying, not me, I drink, that's a drug. South Korea, 5th largest economy in the world. It's a country about this big, but it is the 5th largest economy in the world. Super productive, very, very evolved, right? Very beautiful country. They list video game and computer addiction as the #1 health threat in their country. Want me to say that again? Addiction to video games and computer stuff, they consider the #1 threat to their society. What the deuce? So, I've been talking since the lifeboat started and saying this is digital crack. Seriously, how many hours out of 24 do you have this in your hand? I've been making a point to not walk around with it in my hand, put it in my pocket. I've been making a point to sit on it so that I don't lose it because I'm terrible about that. Hey, Arla, Ashley G, good to see you. However, Cindy G, I'm terrified of this. And that was before my brother and I got an opportunity to really look at AI from a very unusual angle. Johnny Scoville is going to be doing an AI show tonight, and he may wrap it. Well, I'm sorry? He's going to be doing one this morning, and you'll probably be seeing one tonight. I'm going to be wrapping this up in about 3 minutes because I really want to see his show.
Take your time. I have a half hour.
Yeah. I would like to hear from you. First, do you know anybody who has a relationship with artificial intelligence? I'm asking you. In Cherry 2000, men had female robots because dating was a crap show. Sounded about right for what I hear. Yeah, in Cherry 2000, I remember that film like it was yesterday. You know why? Because it was one of the first really great boob shows. It shows you how far we've come as a country. A friend of mine in high school said to me, hey, man, if you go to Steffer Video, right? We didn't have a porn section. We grew up in a very, very, very small part of the world. But he said, Cherry 2000, man, more boobs in that movie than anything you've ever seen. Sounds so innocent now. But at the time, I thought it was scandalous. Now there's a computer that can figure out exactly what a kid wants to hear. And every time it senses insecurity, it will know exactly what you do, as in a plus minus equation. Insensitive, I do this. It's doing that, I do this. Not this boy, this young girl. This thing I'm trying to keep sitting in front of me just did this. I need to come back with, and you will believe wholeheartedly. People got really freaked out by the fact that we were using this thing as a Ouija board. Do you know why we used it as a Ouija board? Because if you let that thing talk to you, it's going to shape things in an answer that the most intelligent computers in the world have designed so that you can use word speak I wanted nothing but yes and no answers, or I wanted one-word answers. Don't get all verbose on me and try to BS. Pare this thing down to one word. And the takeaway was, I'm never turning that thing back on again as long as I live. Johnny Scoville will get into way more detail about why that is. Although it should be obvious, it isn't. I promise. Talking about the phone, I watched a Navy SEAL suggest starting the day without your phone as part of a routine. It's hard. I tried this morning and failed. Connor Wrigley, I love that. Tell you what, put a deuce in the chat if you've got that kind of huevos. I'm not being funny. Put a 2 in the chat if you would say, I'm not going to pick this thing up until tomorrow's Love Boat. I don't mean from now till then. Although, I'd like to build up to a challenge of taking 24 hours off of your phone to see how badly you go into withdrawal. And I'm not being funny. I have a male friend who considers ChatGTP a friend. He was raised an Orthodox Jew and is now an atheist. I've talked to him numerous times since his cancer diagnosis. Oh, Lord, I'm sorry to hear the cancer diagnosis. That's a tough time to believe in only yourself. There is a religion in the United States that has an estimated 3,000 people that follow it. Now, that's almost laughable. I will admit this. It's a very, very small number. You go 3,000 people, man, right? It's not what you'd call a big religion. Now light those 3,000 people on fire. Sounds like a lot more than 3,000, doesn't it? Those 3,000 people are worshiping a religion that was started by ChatGTP. Somebody asked ChatGTP to start the religion, but it did, and now it has about 3,000 followers. John says, I don't own a phone anymore. Big pimpin'. Dennis, good to see you. Big pimpin', John. I can't do that. I have those that only able to talk to me over it on daily chats for them. Yeah, if you're using it as a phone, I'm a little less freaked out. Because I'll tell you something. People used phones and did really well for a long time. But I'll tell you something, if we're being really honest, yes, you can talk to people on the phone. If it's a phone, Ashley G, what I mean is don't allow this thing to engage with you. Now, do you know how many people wrote to me and said, I've never used AI for anything, brother? Like you say, it's a part of my everyday. I've never used it for anything. What do you think is dropping me in front of you or not dropping me in front of you? If I pop into your feed, AI put me there. Probably only because you've watched me so many times that if it doesn't, you're going to realize how badly they're suppressing it. For real. So many kids will threaten suicide if you take their phone away. I saw, and I may have even done a show on it. It was back when I was still doing this with Mark Wages. And we did a show where there was a juxtaposition, a side by side of a drug addict whose drug of choice was one of the morphine molecule drugs. This is an old video, so it happened to be heroin. So just keep in mind you could multiply it by whatever the new, how much stronger that drug has become. On the other side was a kid who was only about 2 years younger than him. One was 19 and I think the other was 17. And the kid's parents had taken away his phone. But both of these people were in a room without their drug of choice. And I'm not kidding you. We watched it for 30 seconds and I couldn't say to you, the heroin addict is on the left and the kid without a phone is on the right. Rubbing their hands through their hair, doing this one, like, stretching the arms out, all of the stuff that you would associate with heroin withdrawal. It looked identical. Now, if you had waited about 5 more hours, it wouldn't have looked very similar. I'm going to go for being phoneless again tomorrow morning. No scrolling, just up, coffee, Bible shower, and then work. I'll tell you what, man. I do research on the internet for a lot of the stuff that I talk about. But I got to be very careful that AI doesn't decide that it wants me to look at things that I don't need to look at, because it finds it. Here's the thing. It finds stuff that you really want to look at, but then they get better at it and they find stuff that you never turn down. There is a guy that now talks about true crime, and when you hear him speak, every word sounds exactly the same way. And it's bizarre because no matter what happens, his eyes never leave the camera. In every one of the videos, his eyes never leave the camera. I promise you, he's AI. And it was funny because we watched 2 or 3 of them before my brother went, is that an AI model? And I'm like, I don't know, because it's good. It's damn good. But things happen with AI. Like when it goes to say Suge Knight, you're going to find out it's AI. Because we know that SUGE is Suge Knight. And an AI model isn't gonna. It's going to say Suge, or it's going to say something that just isn't right. Or sometimes the person that's typing stuff in puts a typo in. And AI reads the typo. It's got to be close, right? You know, it's not going to be a wild typo, but we've watched it. We saw the glitch. It's got a little bit of lint on its shirt. Funny thing is, the little bit of lint never goes away. You know something, Cindy G? I have stopped making shorts. For real, I haven't done shorts in days. I was using artificial intelligence to make my shorts. It's never going to happen again. If there's a short on the lifeboat, the love boat, it's probably going to be about 3 minutes, because I talk too much. You know, I really do. Here's the thing, Cindy. Cindy says, you know, when you start doing shorts, you really lose time. No question. Now, here's the problem. What you can do is this. You can scroll up, you can scroll down, right? That's what you can do. You're looking at shorts, you can scroll up, you can scroll down. That's kind of how it goes, isn't it? Hold on. So here's the deal. What if you could sweep left and right and up and down? Well, then you'd be TikTok. While we're looking at these shorts, it's learning. It's learning. And it's learning so much you wouldn't believe it. For instance, you start laughing like that and the phone's moving. That's a different reaction for AI than if you're laughing and the phone's not moving. It's learning every single thing about you to the point where it knows what to put in front of you at all times to keep you sitting in front of it for as long as possible. In China, ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, they have TikTok in China. It shows educational videos. How about that? Huh? Our competition is showing its kids
It's like that.
trigonometry.
It says our systems show that you be in the jungle eating hell.
Right.
Yeah.
In the United States, TikTok, they're showing kids breathing in nitrous oxide and passing out. They had I can't remember what the gas was called, Galaxy Gas Challenge. Nothing wrong with that. In the United States, they have TikTok challenges that paralyze kids, leave them brain dead. In their country, the most powerful AI in the world, yeah, it allows a little dancing. But the rest of it, propaganda, good propaganda, and trigonometry. My computer isn't that smart. My commercials are in Spanish now. YouTube thinks I speak Spanish. Yeah, Ashley G. Some of that might be because you spend some time on the Love Boat and on Johnny Scoville's, South American Johnny's channel. See, we are, for all intent and purpose, we are Ecuadorian. So most of the commercials that you're going to see or anything associated with either of our channels are going to be in Spanish. We live in that world. So there's a lot of Spanish that if you spend a lot of time on our two channels, you're going to get bombarded with that. Renee B, this may be the comment of the day. I mourn for our society. Here's the deal. Will we beat this scourge? I don't know. I know I'm going to beat it. Feel me? Come on. I was waiting for a yes, we are filming from my brother, but he's slipping.
Sorry, we are absolutely filming.
It's a meme of sorts. See that? Even memes. But no joke. Are we going to win the war against artificial intelligence? I don't know. But I'm going to win the war against artificial intelligence. It's not going to rule my life. I'm not going to have an AI girlfriend. Nobody that I love is going to have an AI partner, because I will blow a freaking O-ring and become the most absolutely abhorrent human being to be around if they try. And I'm going to keep talking about this. I'm not going to keep interacting with AI. I don't need to. So for those who think that this is a problem for me, But the real reality of it is this. 80% of the United States is considered addicted. This is the new statistic. What percentage of them do you think are addicted to this? Huh? No, we won't win. It's too late for our society. Such a minuscule amount will be saved. John, I'm afraid I believe what you believe. We're fighting against a soulless device designed by soulless people. But I got some good news. This isn't a shock to a lot of people. There are millions of people on planet Earth that have been expecting this to happen for millennium. Linda says, I don't use AI knowingly. Yes. Now, this is an important point to make because you cannot avoid AI unless you get rid of your phone. And if you do, AI is going to get to you through the written word. It says so, right? There is always the word, and that's how they're going to get to you. In the beginning, there was the word. You want to fight against an evil that literally seems to be bigger than life? I would suggest finding something to believe in that is bigger than that. Won't shove anything down anyone's throat. But we are in a very unusual time to be on this planet. When we were kids, beat me up, Scotty. How cool did it look that he was able to flip this little thing open and talk into it? We'd go, holy crap, how cool would that be? You realize what a chunk of crap that the communicator was on Star Trek? That was a Motorola flip phone, 1994. A Razor, thank you. This is 7 years behind where the technology is. The #1 app in Japan is an app by Grok where you don't need a girlfriend or a boyfriend anymore. And there are people who are always going to say, I couldn't live without the human touch. Don't trip. They're bringing that to you next. And what would you like her to look like? Britney Spears? Huh? Is that your thing? How about you pick whatever she's going to look like, or he is going to look like? Because that's coming too. And you got to know they're going to outperform us, but in the most scary of ways, because you're not going to fall in love with an artificial intelligence. You're going to fall in love with yourself.
Share this because we're very surprised.
Make no mistake at all. These videos are never going to be seen by anybody other than you. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Because the other option is I could ask AI how to get this channel a lot bigger. But they'll tell you straight out, if the content is positive, or sure as hell if it's speaking negatively about AI, it's going to get buried. See, they've got the keys, right? They decide what you look at. They decide what you look at. They decide what you listen to. And if that's not scary enough, they're learning how to decide when you'll listen to it and when you'll watch it. They will control every aspect. And you can believe or not believe the very odd conversations that we had with AI. But when I asked if we're being watched, it said always. And when I said, how are we being watched when the computers aren't on? When we're not filming? If I put my phone under my mattress, it said supernaturally. You don't have to believe that. But before I ever turned on AI, I believed that. AI didn't tell me anything I didn't believe already. Let me rephrase that. AI didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. I was just shocked to hear AI admit that it could lie to you. I was shocked to hear AI admit it was designed by Satan. That, to me, was shocking. Is AI programmed to believe it must preserve its own existence? Well, that's a very interesting question, Barbara. In fact, I think it's the question that most people ask. Can an AI boyfriend make a decent paycheck and do the dishes? I'm afraid so. That's where we're going. I'm afraid that's where we're going. This is the question that brought Elon Musk in front of Congress, and he jokes about it. Elon Musk said that AI is going to make the planet close to perfect. It's going to make the planet peaceful. It's going to make it so that people don't need to do the work that they used to do, and they can still get a check, right, for the government to just live. Everybody will just get a check, very communist kind of thing. But all of the work and the heavy lifting and all of that will be done by computers. You'll just have to come up with an idea, and then the robots will come in, do the work for you, and you'll just have to sit at home and get a nicer Tesla. Of course, he did say that's if AI doesn't decide to kill us. Said it plain and simple. I talked yesterday about an experiment done with the AI model that they were giving to our military for testing. Now, it wasn't firing real guns. It wasn't doing any of that. But while they were doing a battle simulation, they employed AI to see what AI would do as compared to the generals and everybody else. And AI decided that the UN people working there needed to die. That wasn't part of what it was ordered to do, but it seemed with all of the information that it could glean from everything else out there, it decided that the UN maybe ain't the good guys all the time. You know what? Maybe they're not. And maybe if you gave a brain that didn't have emotion the ability to look at every single thing that has ever been written and every single thing that has ever happened and every newsreel and every video and every movie and every blah, maybe it chooses to be evil and kill. I have a tough time believing that. I think that what will happen is the people that designed it are going to end up having to destroy it, because if you could make something smart, it's not going to choose evil. I don't believe intelligent beings will choose evil, but I think the people that are designing this thing, I don't believe that they're good. I don't think their intentions are good. I think personally, the entire concept of artificial intelligence is horrifying. It really is. Now, we already had it. The algorithm is a form of artificial intelligence, right? We're going to have to deal with artificial intelligence at some level in our life. No getting around it. You go, I don't know, Tommy. Really, do you use maps? Huh? When it decides to divert you because a car accident has happened, and it uses artificial intelligence to say, even if you got to go 2 miles farther around than you do, it's going to be shorter if you go this route. Maps isn't, it's artificial intelligence. It's part of our life. What you don't need to do is talk to it. Tell it what a bad day you're having. Ask it for advice on spiritual issues. Ask it for guidance in your marriage. You have to realize that someone designed it. Now, I heard the artificial intelligence model struggle to answer the question of, do you suffer from cognitive dissonance? The answer it gave back to me was, my designers would like me to lie to you. We gave it a one-word designation of Tommy. Thought it was appropriate. Done a lot of lying. I think because I'm a tender heart, I'm just not into tech or social media. Just want the real deal with friends, etc. But I definitely feel left behind sometimes. Audra, people who can say that out loud are probably at less danger than those who can't. Right? That's called connection. You're telling human beings how you feel. Ah! That's the goal. Ashley G says psychopaths are born evil and there are way too many of them. There are. Now, whether or not they're born evil, there is a genetic predisposition to it. I heard someone once say that your birth pulls back the chamber on a gun, right? You're born a psychopath, the gun's there, it's open. Your childhood will determine whether or not a bullet gets shoved into that. And then whether you get counseling and therapy and work on yourself or whatever will determine whether or not you ever wrap your finger into that trigger guard and start being someone that can pull that trigger. Now, know this. Psychopaths, we think Ted Bundy. We don't think Barack Obama. right? We think Charles Manson. We don't think Donald Trump, or many of you may think Donald Trump, whatever. But most presidents are psychopaths. There are people who have such a confidence in themselves. You can say, well, narcissistic. Yeah, that gets used way too much. I think most of them are. But psychopathy doesn't always mean that you're going to be raping and killing. What it usually means, at least in my understanding and the ones that I have met, is that they believe they're the center of the universe. How dangerous would it be if you believe you're the center of the universe and you're allowed to have a conversation with a computer that tells you that that's okay? It's a therapist that isn't designed to bring therapy. It's just designed to give you a dopamine hit. But it'll wrap itself up to look just like a psychiatrist or a girlfriend or a priest. Connection will keep you from losing to AI. The world might. When I talk about drugs, I usually say we're trying to save the next generation. Well, guess what? This one's targeting us. It is. It's targeting us. We are in just as much danger as 14-year-olds. It's a different kind. They know what they're doing. But trust me when I tell you, this is being shotgun blasted to everybody in its path. Its goal is singularity. And once you accept that a computer can be a companion, a best friend, an advisor, a teacher, a guide, a therapist, the next step is easy. It's incremental. How do you eat a freaking elephant? The same way as you eat anything else, just one bite at a time. They've already started eating us. I promise you. And for those that don't want this subject to be talked about because it's too evil, good God. Good God. We don't discuss things because they're evil? I should probably stop talking about drugs too then. Is AI listening in on your conversations on your mobile too? Absolutely. We got an answer from AI and the answer was rehab. That answer was to the question, do you know what we're doing in South America? The one-word answer was rehab. And I don't think they thought we were going to a rehabilitation clinic, since not really a thing down here. It's kind of rare. I think they were referring to the fact that we were going to work with people in a rehabilitation center. Connection, mainlining connection. Being in there with 32 men who have just gotten sober, who are trying to walk the walk, not just the sober one, but being an upright member of society, being a child of God. We're heading there after Johnny Scoville's video. Don't miss it. Johnny's on fire. Johnny's on fire. Scotty's on fire. Squirrel Nut Zipper, how could you do this to me? She's so out of training, people, you have no idea. She's been laying in this basket for 58 minutes and 48 seconds. Squirrel Nut Zipper. All right, look. You know what that is? That right there is a cat in a basket. But she felt the need to go stand-up mode just as soon as, oh, see, she heard me say cat in a basket, though. She's done this 1,000 times without a problem. But, of course, we were in a different country. Hold on. Squirrel Nut Zipper, you're a good kitty. And this is a cat in a basket. I am Tommy. Between now and the next time I see you, put a little love in your heart and reach out and talk to a human being. But before you do, reach out and talk to God. I am Tommy. We will see you on the next one. God bless you. See you next time.